Hey, welcome back, everybody. And guess what? Mortgage rates, they absolutely, they say they plummeted, but they definitely have gone down in a better direction. However, are we going to have a repeat of last year? That's a really good question, because last year we had some craziness happen with feds. Hang on, let's get the show on the road. Okay, so you might be saying, George, what do you mean we had some craziness last year? Well, last year, remember, we had the feds about September drop their rate by what we call 50 basis points, or 0.5%. And boom, interest rates went skyrocketing. So as we take a look at this, and let's go ahead and let's bring up the information here. It says mortgage rates plummet back to fall of 2024, which is funny. That's exactly where we're at. Now, you might say, why did this happen, right? Well, that is super simple. You see, it says in general, weaker job numbers prompt investors to buy bonds. When investors buy bonds, the price of those bonds go up. And when the price of the bonds go up, mortgage rates come down because they're inverse of each other. And that is a lot of the reason that we are seeing some of these better rates right now. Now, granted, they've been heading in a downward trend like they were last year. We just have to wait and hope, although the jobs report might indicate that, they're probably going to end up dropping probably a quarter of a rate here in the next meeting. But let's take a look at it. So when we see this, we can see on the far left-hand side where it goes way up. It was dipped way down in October of last year, September, October. Boom, it goes way up by 50 basis points, 0.5%. And then, of course, it struggled around, the mid sevens, then dropped down. And then we've been coming in a downward trend since then, which has taken a long time. It took almost an entire year for us to come down, because every time the feds have lowered their rate, they did a 50 basis point. That took it skyrocket high. Then they did a 25, and then they did another 25. And each time, though, the mortgage rates acted inversely of that. They actually went up and did not come down, because remember, the feds don't control mortgage rates. They control your HELOC, your home equity line of credit, your car payment, your credit cards, what banks lend to on a daily basis. The bonds, your mortgage rates are traded on a daily basis. That's why they go up and down, and why you need to know the 5 questions to ask. In fact, we'll get into that a little bit later when getting quoted mortgage rates, right? Okay, so if we take a look at our news today, it says, look at that, home price is still growing, but at a snail's pace. So we're not seeing the massive increase in appreciation that we've seen in the past. Not uncommon. We are seeing what we would call more flattening. It's just barely inclining. There are other areas that are suffering a little bit more. We being a little bit more insulated over other economies. We're still in the top 5 for best markets nationwide. We're in that sweet spot. Anyway, so if we come in here and we say refi demand improves, excuse me, while purchase applications edge slower, not uncommon. But look at that, upper right-hand corner, 6.29 is par pricing on Friday, and then of course mortgage rates hit another 2025 low ahead of Volatility Friday. So here's the funny thing. Unemployment and job, metrics, those will definitely have one of the biggest impacts on whether the big investors coming in and out of bonds. And that is a big deal, because, again, as bond rate values go up, mortgage rates come down. And that, that's how they work. Watching the 10-year Treasury, even though they're not tied to each other, they freakishly follow each other. So sometimes that's a better metric to watch. So keep that in mind as you guys are looking at that. Let's take a look at Freddie. What does Freddie have to say? So Freddie says, hey, listen, our running 7-day average is running about 6.5%. And of course, we highlighted when the feds did their 50 basis point or 0.5% reduction in rate. As you can see, mortgage rates went flying up. And then, of course, if they do that again here at their next meeting, which September, October, it's highly probable that they could do a 25 basis point drop. That will have a negative impact on what's going on, which brings us to our big thing here. Look, this is free. There's no cost. There's no obligation to this. Listen, you can get 5 questions you need to ask when getting courted mortgage rates. Listen, if you're interested in saving money, you need to watch that video, okay? It's about, I want to say 15 minutes long, but it takes you through very clearly each of the 5 questions you need to ask in order to make sure you're doing the right thing, making the right decision. With that, hey, there's a free calculator. You can line 4 mortgages up at one time, take a look at it and say, here. And then that gives you a really good indication of what is the best program for you. I'm just saying. So let's go ahead and let's roll over to what's going on in the Northwest MLS, right? So look at this. We have days on market. We're at 10 days more than we were at this time last year. That's super interesting. And then, of course, we're at selling at 97% of list price. And you might be going, well, what does that mean? Super simple. If we have $100,000, okay? If I listed $100,000 and I sell it $100,000, that's 100% of list to sales price. However, if I listed $100,000 and I sell it $97,000, my list to sales price is only 97%, okay? That's important because last year we were at 98% and we bobbled between 97 and 100%, 101%, pretty common throughout the year. So keep that in mind as we continue our little chart here. All right, so our price point, when we take a look at it, sure, we've got our running 7-day average. Tells us again what our metrics are looking at. We have 1,190 homes that came on market, right? But then we had 1,008 that went pending. And I'm like, whoa, hang on a second here. Now, okay, so if I look at these numbers and I look at that 1,190 and I'm like, hang on a second, but I also canceled a gob of properties. But guess what happened? Many of those people that canceled relisted at a different price. So our actual new on market is actually less by 65 homes, 66 homes, okay? So when you look at that, that's a little bit misleading. So basically we're still, hey, for every home that's coming on market, 1 home is coming off market. It's still pretty consistent. We call that balanced. It's not favoring the sellers. It's not favoring the buyers. Smack dab right in the middle, kind of where we expect it to be, right? So as we take a look at that, you guys get the very clear understanding that, hey, we're moving along pretty good. And you know what? That's not so bad. It's just one of those great things at the end of the day, because again, if you want super accurate information, hey, come back, take a look at this. Doesn't cost anything. There's no marketing. It's just solid information so you can make the best business decision. I'd really appreciate it if you wouldn't mind subscribing or at least liking and let us know. More importantly, ask a question down below. That's super important. All right. So let's take a look at our ongoing metrics here. So we look at the year to date. Let's take a look at month over month for the month of September. And you can see, actually, let's blow this up a little bit here. There we go. We can see very clearly that our year to date, the top chart, we're doing actually just, we're doing quite well. About the same as last year. We're not making any land speed records at all. Okay. We are without a doubt just kind of staying even with the course. And we're very much a flat kind of horizontal market that isn't going down. It really isn't going up. It's just kind of flat. And that's not so bad. Again, with buyers on the sidelines, with a lot of speculation out there, our 3-year, tech buy or hire, fire, retain cycle, that is, it seems like every 3 years they lay off 1 year, the next year they hire, next year they retain, then they rinse and repeat again. We're in the layoff mode, but it seems like that's kind of curtailing. We're starting to see a few more buyers coming back into our luxury market and whatnot. So, which is a good thing, right? So when we take a look at that and we bop over and we take a look at average pricing, you would think we would have some issues with some pricing, but look at that. Hey, we're actually up year over year 1.1%. For the month of September, we're up 4.7% on pricing. And that is actually, all things considered, that is great news, okay? Because again, it's not double-digit appreciation. It's just that modest growth, that healthy growth that we're seeing, especially in a market like this where there's a lot of speculation, there's a lot of apprehension because there's a lot of buyers on the sidelines. Except as our rates keep ticking downward, we are definitely seeing a lot more buyer activity, as you saw earlier today. Now, if we go in and we take a look at our other metrics, we take a look at new construction. Look, new construction, they have actually been doing a pretty impressive job, all things considered. And when we open this up and we take a look at this, look, hey, I can't complain. These guys are doing really good. In fact, they need a little bit of... All right, why would I give them some applause? Well, it's simple. They have been absolutely struggling all year long, and they've just little by little, man, it's like the little train that said it could, they just keep chugging along and chugging along and chugging along, and they're making ground back. Yes, they offer more incentives, but we're still seeing, plats continue to improve in price, which is awesome, right? Everything that we're seeing is doing really, really well. And I give those builders a lot of credit for saying, hey, you know what? We need to come in here and do some incentivization. Year over year for the same month, they're only 9 homes off. And that's all of Washington State. That's pretty impressive. The pendants are up actually quite well. When we take a look at pricing, look, they're up 38% for the month of September, where they were at last year at this time. We're 2.5% above where we were at year to date. So all things considered, doing really well. We're seeing some really good recap and recovery from the builders. They've been restructuring and repricing a lot of plats, which just makes it easier for them to get homes sold because that's what buyers want. All right, so if we go ahead and let's take a look at some REOs here. REOs are super boring. Why? Because again, we just don't have a whole heck of a lot. In fact, when you take a look at this, look at that. We're only eight homes more than we were at this time last year. And if you take a look, they could say, oh my gosh, foreclosure listings are up 20.2%. That's crazy. It's 56 homes. That is a tiny little amount. 3/4 of Washington State year to date, we have 56 more homes. That's peanuts, right? Total number of homes that have sold this year. It's up 54 homes than what it was last year, but we had a little bit more inventory. It's only 249 homes. Okay, so understand when you start hearing other metrics, make sure that you're dialing and getting real information, and don't look at percentages. Percentages are going to be super crazy. Why? Because we have such tiny numbers. You double a tiny number, it looks massive, but it's just a tiny little number. I mean, 9 homes, that's insignificant. Anyway, if you have any questions, put it down below. Let us know if you have if you have any questions. I'd love to hear what you have to say. If you have a question with no strings attached, put it down there. Smash that subscribe button. Let us know you like the channel. In the meantime, I'll talk to you later. Have a great day. And be careful. It's a little smoky outside.